Welcome to part 5 of Conscious Creation in the Intelligent Observer. At the close of the last lecture, I told you that once you can open even a small gap between what happens and how you respond, a profound power becomes available to you. The power to respond instead of merely react. And I said that power has a name most people misunderstand. They flinch when they hear it because they have only ever known its heavy, joyless version. The word is responsibility. And by the end of this lecture, I want that word to feel completely different to you. Not like a weight on your shoulders, but like a key in your hand. Let me start by breaking the word open because the meaning is hiding right inside it. Responsibility. Listen to it slowly. Response. Ability, the ability to respond. That is what the word truly points to. It was never first about who is at fault. It was never first about who is to blame. At its root, it is simply this: your capacity to respond to whatever life places in front of you. And once you hear it that way, the whole thing turns from a burden into a kind of freedom. Because no matter what happens, no matter how unfair, no matter who did what to you, there is always a response that remains yours. They can take many things from you. They can never take your response. That is the one piece of territory that is always completely yours. Now let me show you the trap that keeps people powerless, because almost everyone falls into it without noticing. When something goes wrong, the mind moves instantly to assign blame. It points outward. It is their fault. It is his fault. It is the system, the economy, my parents, my luck, my circumstances, and sometimes it even points up at the sky and blames God. Or it turns around and stabs inward and blames yourself. The direction changes, but the move is always the same. We hunt for the one who is at fault. And here is the thing nobody tells you. Every single time you place the cause of your situation outside your own response, you also place the power outside yourself. If your peace depends on him changing, then you are stuck and helpless until he changes, which may be never. If your happiness depends on the circumstances being different, you are a hostage to circumstances. The moment you say it is their fault, you have quietly handed them the keys to your life. So the old teaching offers a radical move, and I want to state it plainly. Take responsibility for everything, and watch what happens inside you when you do. The masters said that if you hold yourself responsible for everything, including the things that go wrong, you will stop getting angry at other people. Instead of burning energy trying to fix everyone around you, you will turn that energy toward the one person you can actually change, which is you. You will retain your ability to respond in every situation instead of surrendering it to whoever happened to upset you. They had a vivid way of describing the failure mode. They called it passing the bug. Someone hurts you, so you get angry and pass the bug to them or to God or to yourself, and around it goes. The first step to stop the cycle of consequences coming back on you is to stop passing the bug. Hold the response yourself. Own it. And the cycle quiets down. But now I have to be extremely careful, because this teaching is powerful enough to hurt you if you take it wrongly. And the difference is everything. Taking responsibility is not the same as taking blame. These are two completely different things, and confusing them is dangerous. The masters were explicit about this. Do not confuse responsibility with blaming. When I say take responsibility for the peace of the world, I am not saying the wars are your fault. I'm not saying you caused the suffering of the planet, or that you should walk around drowning in guilt for everything you cannot fix. That is not responsibility. That is just self-torture wearing a noble mask. Blame, whether you aim it at others or at yourself, is always about the past and always about fault. Responsibility is about the present and about your capacity to respond. Blame asks whose fault is this? Responsibility asks what response is mine to give? One leaves you stuck and ashamed, the other leaves you free and able to act. So please hear this clearly. We are not asking you to feel guilty for the whole world. We are asking you to stop being a victim of it. And this raises a question that a sincere person always asks at exactly this point, and I want to answer it because it troubled me too. If my sense of responsibility is meant to be limitless, but my actual power to act is so obviously limited, won't that torment me? Won't I be crushed by the gap between all the things I feel responsible for and the few things I can actually do? It is a fair question, and the answer dissolves the torment completely once you see it. Here is the key. Your responsibility is limitless, but your actions are limited, and these two live in different places, so they do not have to fight. The limitlessness lives in your inner stance, in your willingness, in your openness to respond. The limitation lives in your hands, in what you can physically reach and do today. Responsibility was never a promise to fix everything. It was never a claim that you can control outcomes. It is simply a refusal to close your heart and a refusal to be a victim. So you can hold yourself responsible toward the whole world, meaning you remain willing to respond, willing to care, willing to act wherever you actually can, while you calmly accept that your actions only reach so far. There is no torment in that because you are not measuring yourself against impossible results. You act fully where your hands reach, and everything beyond your reach, you meet with the acceptance we spoke about earlier, the acceptance of the moment as it is. Limitless responsibility on the inside, limited, focused action on the outside, deep acceptance for the rest. Held together, they bring peace, not pressure. There is one more distinction the teaching makes that I find quietly brilliant, and it protects you from a common mistake. Respond as the situation demands, but do not confuse that with emotion. A response is not the same thing as an emotional reaction. When your child runs toward a busy road, the situation demands a sharp, immediate action and you give it. But you do not have to be consumed by panic to do it. In fact, the panic makes you slower and clumsier. A calm, clear, forceful response is far more powerful than an emotional explosion. So, taking responsibility does not mean becoming passive or soft. It means you can act with full strength, even fierce strength when the moment calls for it, without losing yourself to the storm of feeling. Your action meets the situation. Your inner state stays your own. That is the mark of a person who has reclaimed their power. And now let me show you the beautiful thing that happens to a person who lives this way, because it explains why the masters tied this so closely to the end of suffering. Remember that anger and resentment are like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. Now notice something. Anger needs a culprit. It needs someone out there to be at fault. But what happens to your anger when you have taken full responsibility for your own response? The culprit vanishes. There is no longer anyone to blame, only something to do. The fuel that anger runs on simply is not there anymore. The person who owns their response does not seethe, because seething requires a victim story, and they have set that story down. This is why responsibility, properly understood, is one of the great doorways out of suffering. It does not just give you power, it quietly drains the poison. So feel how far we have come. We saw our reacting conditioned nature. We gathered the timeless tools. We built the awareness that creates a gap between event and reaction. And now, in that gap, we have placed the single most powerful stance a human being can take. Not blame, pointed outward or inward, but responsibility, the ability to respond, claimed fully as your own. This is the exact hinge on which a life turns from happening to you, to being authored by you. The victim waits for the world to change. The author asks, what response is mine to give? And then gives it. That is the whole difference between the two kinds of people we met in the very first lecture, the ones who stay stuck and the ones who transform. But here is the catch, and it is what sends us into the next lecture. To respond as one whole person with full strength, the different parts of you have to be pulling in the same direction, and for most of us, they are not. Your mind wants one thing while your emotions want another. Your body drags when your intentions are eager. Part of you commits while another part quietly sabotages. A divided person cannot respond cleanly no matter how much they understand. So next, we turn to one of the most important skills in this entire series. Learning to align the different layers of yourself, the body, the mind, the emotion, and the energy, so that they stop working against each other and finally start pulling together. When that alignment happens, your power to respond multiplies in a way that has to be felt to be believed. And that is exactly where we go next. Please subscribe for more of such well-researched intellectual sharing.